Imagine your favorite anime protagonist. Now, step into their shoes. You're standing in their world, you see everything they've seen and everyone they've met. In front of you are the people they've talked to, laughed with, fought against. Now, if your protagonist closes their eyes, do these characters still exist? If not, your anime sucks. When I asked that question, I didn't mean exist literally. What I mean is, do those characters feel real when the protagonist isn't around? Do they have their own reasons to act, their own choices to make, or are they just orbiting the main character because the story needs them to? If characters are written like props, made only to push the plot forward and then forgotten, the world starts to feel hollow. It stops being genuine, like watching a puppeteer make dolls laugh on stage. So what does it mean for a character to be alive? To find an answer to that question, I stepped away from fiction for a moment. I asked myself, how do we know a person exists? The first thought that came to mind was memories, the building blocks of a person, the best proof that everything you did mattered. It's why having someone you love diagnosed with Alzheimer's feels utterly heartbreaking. The decay isn't visible, yet you can feel it just as vividly. So that's it then. Memories. Something still felt missing. Are we only sad because the person is losing their memories, or is it also unfair that they can't make new ones? And then it clicked. Time is how we know. A person exists because their life isn't a snapshot, but a continuous stream. The sense that they came from somewhere, that they're present for a reason, and that they're heading towards something. Stories work the same way. A character who truly feels alive has all three. And if even one is missing, the illusion collapses. A before gives weight. It's everything that happened before the story began, the experiences that shaped how our characters see the world. And writers love to build elaborate backstories, especially for their protagonists, because it makes them feel more complete. Thorfinn from Vinland Saga is a good example. From episode 1 to 6, the show walks us through nearly a decade of his childhood, his family, the world he's born into, and the events that scar him forever. By the time we return to the present, we know exactly who we're following and why he's driven the way he is. But a backstory on its own isn't enough. It can tell us how someone became who they are, but not whether they're capable of becoming anything else. You see this problem a lot in anime. Some stories treat character traumas like collectibles. One tragic flashback per villain, as if pain automatically equals depth. My Hero Academia tries to challenge that trope, but in practice, many of its antagonists still feel like props frozen in the past. And among the wide range of comically evil bad guys, the one I want you to look at is Hero Killer Stain. We're introduced to him through two random thugs watching a YouTube video about his tragic origin story. He once idolized All Might, basically this universe's Jesus, but became disillusioned after seeing heroes chase fame instead of justice, so he dedicates his life to purging fake heroes, anyone who doesn't act out of pure altruism. It's an interesting premise, but that's all it ever is. The story never challenges him. After a long rampage of killings, his first real loss comes against Midoriya, All Might 2.0. And if the only person Stain claims he'd accept defeat from is All Might himself, then getting beaten by his successor doesn't challenge his worldview, it confirms it. Stain lived defined by his past, and the story leaves him there because the past is all the story gave him. If the before gives weight, the now gives motion. The now is where the story tests them, where the beliefs they've had until this point finally collide with the world. Take Reigen from Mob Psycho 100. We barely know anything about his past. Our first impression of him is that of a sleazy salesman, a con man. And make no mistake, he is a fraud. But the beauty of this show is how well it sets up conflicts that eventually push characters to grow. Despite his fake psychic abilities, Reigen is powerless. So instead of testing him in combat, he's tested morally. After successfully manipulating Mob, every scene pushes back and asks him directly, will you keep lying to feed your ego, or will you live up to the ideals you pretended to have? That's what a strong now does, it exposes a character's contradictions. But some stories skip this step entirely. Fire Force gives Shinra Kusakabe a solid backstory, a tragic childhood and a noble dream. But once the story starts, that dream is never questioned. In episode 9, when Shinra faces off Rika, a hero turned villain, the show had the perfect chance to ask, what makes a good guy go bad? But Rika's cartoonish villainy leaves Shinra's ideals unchallenged. And when Shinra meets his long-lost brother Sho in episode 23, the story repeats the same pattern. When Shinra starts channeling early childhood memories to his brother to overcome his brainwashing, Sho asks a surgical question. A line that could have forced Shinra to confront the limits of his optimism. Instead, the show rewards his conviction as divine truth. Over a decade of Sho's painful life and indoctrination gets overridden by pure heroic feelings? And that's the danger of leaving a character's path frictionless. Ironically, without resistance, the story stops moving. It loops back on itself. And eventually, every story needs direction. A trajectory. But that momentum only means something if the character has earned it. If the before gives weight and the now gives motion, the next gives direction. The character's goal or dream, whatever you call it, is what gives the journey meaning. Take Edward from Fullmetal Alchemist. His next is clear from the start, to restore what's lost. But what makes it powerful isn't just the goal itself, it's how it evolves. At first, Ed's pursuit of the Philosopher's Stone feels selfish, but the more he learns, the more his beliefs are tested. The more he realizes that chasing that goal at any cost would only repeat the sin that created it. By the time he finally reaches the truth, he refuses to use alchemy altogether and accepts the cost of his growth. That's what a goal should do. It's not just a destination, it's a mirror reflecting how far the character has come. But some stories mistake having a goal for having depth. In Solo Leveling, Jin Woo starts with a clear direction, healing his mother. It's a promising start, but as the fights repeat, the tension fades. The audience already knows he'll win, so the story compensates with a flash animation instead. And when Jin Woo finally fulfills his promise, the show becomes a treadmill. Forward motion with no meaning, fights with no stakes, and characters you don't care about. A path only matters if you believe in the person walking it. That's why a character that feels alive needs to exist in time. A before that gives weight, and now that gives motion, and a next that gives direction. Having all three is a recipe for a well-written character, and plenty of stories manage that. But when only the protagonist gets that balance, something dangerous happens. When only one character is fully developed, the story begins to collapse around them. Every scene exists only for their sake. Supporting characters stop feeling like people, they become satellites orbiting a single point. That's the protagonist's black hole. It's what happens when a writer builds one perfect character and forgets that the people around them exist too. The best example I can think of is Ayanokoji from the Classroom of the Elite. From the very first episode, the show makes it clear, the world will be viewed only through him. At first, it's subtle. Any scene without Ayanokoji is immediately followed by a scene with Ayanokoji. It feels stylistic, but really, it's an early symptom of a larger issue you slowly realize. When his classmates argue, he's the one who fixes it. When the class faces a crisis, he's the one pulling the strings. In episode 5, during a tense meeting between two classes, Suzune freezes up due to her brother's presence. It could have been her moment, a chance to explore her insecurity and fear. But instead, Ayanokoji pinches his classmate in front of everyone for 20 seconds. Which somehow forces her to regain her focus and take control of the meeting. A painfully awkward scene that exists not to grow her, but to make him more mysterious. Even when the show pretends to give others the spotlight, the camera always finds its way back to him. By the time the season ends, it's not a story about a class anymore. It's a story about how Ayanokoji manipulates one. Everyone else becomes a cog. Instead of growing beside Ayanokoji, they exist because of him. The issue here isn't that the protagonist is too complex, it's that everyone else becomes too simple. The solution is obvious, except it's anything but easy. Only few stories can achieve this, but when they do, you can feel it. Personalities clash, stakes at all-time high, and paths destined to cross. One person's dream might destroy another's, and even if you care about both sides, there's a riveting feeling in knowing only one can come out on top. A world that you can immerse yourself in because every character feels real. What it takes to execute this fully is a huge topic, one I'd love to explore in another video. But I hope this one has laid out the foundation of what makes a character feel alive. A metric I follow every time I choose an anime or manga. So, next time you watch a show, ask yourself, if the protagonist closed their eyes, would the world still move? If it does, you're watching something special. Thanks for watching, leave a like and comment if you enjoyed, and check out my previous video.